Hi guys! I say the same thing at the beginning of every video. Anyway, hello. Today I'm going to share with you my process-ish of painting the Peter Pan mermaid scene. You may have seen it on Instagram recently, and it went through a few evolutions, and I'm going to show you guys the rejected painting and the accepted painting. So the rejected painting is a really simple composition. I felt like it was a little boring. I started painting it, and one thing I learned through this process is that if I'm going to be painting people and like their expressions, and that's, for me, that's the hardest part, like the most easily messed up, because you're working like really small and it just has to be more exact than like, say, water. So on this one, I did the water first and like the whole background and spent a bunch of time on that, and then when I got to her face, I messed it up. And not only that, but I just felt like it was so blah. So anyway, I scrapped it and redid the sketch, added some more mermaids in. I don't know if I was just being lazy. Sometimes you shouldn't go with the first idea that you have, because maybe it's not as magical as it could be. For me, I think like really literally, even though I'm doing mermaids, sometimes I feel like, you know, my color palette or something is too expected. So I really worked hard on the second version to make it more interesting and magical. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. It's one of like the first pieces, maybe the first piece of mine that has multiple characters in it. And I feel really good about their facial expressions, and I think it tells a story. I'm sure at some point in my life I will look back and feel like there are improvements I could make, but I worked really hard on it and feel happy with it for now, and I've added it to my portfolio. So let's get started with the painting. I will show you guys the rejected one as well as the happy final piece. Okay. So this is the first sketch, actually. Initially, when I was making it for Instagram, I decided that it needed more going on, so which I definitely get for Instagram, because when it's so tiny, I don't know, I felt like it needed to be more interesting. And then I thought, well, for the story, she is on Marooner's Rock, which should be like out too far for you to swim to if the tide got like really high. So it shouldn't be that close to land. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to take that away. But I did try it colored in just to kind of give myself an idea, which I really liked this a lot. I still like it, but it is a little bit too similar to the other pieces that I've done for Peter Pan, like this one. I felt like the backgrounds were just too similar and I need to show more variety. So I decided to eliminate all of the colorful foliage, and I was just gonna have her on the rock and him floating. So it was just gonna be like that. So that is what I did. Here you'll see me going in with some masking fluid. At first, I decided that it would be a good idea to make like highlights on the water with it. And then I go onto her tail with some colored pencil. Now I am filling in just a wash of clear water onto the ocean, and then adding in on top of that, this technique is called wet on wet, and it creates more of like a bleeding effect if you put your paint on already wet paper. I did reference some pictures of the ocean to kind of see how it fades from more blue to more aqua the closer it gets to you. And here is just kind of where it started. I feel like it went downhill. I could not decide on a color for her tail. I didn't have enough of a plan in mind. I think I was going to make it the aqua color from the mock-up, but since it doesn't have the colorful plants, I thought that the aqua would be too boring and similar to the sky and the water. You can see I got really far on this before I called it quits for this painting. Oh, and then the eyes. This is where I just totally messed up because I really wanted it to have the same expression that it had in my original sketch, but trying to redo it again in pen just got really messed up, and I kept trying to go over it with white pen to cover it up, and it got worse and worse and worse. So yeah, I sat there and I thought about it for a few minutes, and then I tried to fix it again with white paint. And then I finally just gave up. So after I did that painting, I determined I was unhappy with it. And this is the sketch I came up with. As you can see, she and Peter are basically still the same. But then I just added more in for more interest because it really needed it. It did not tell enough of a story. Like, this could be any kid talking to some mermaid. But I feel like with all of this, it feels more representative of what's happening in the book at the time, and just kind of immerses you in it more. Like, I feel like you feel more like you're in it rather than looking at it, or at least I hope that's how it comes across. And then I played with colors. I worked on coming up with a color palette that felt fun and also has like a mood. So I looked at some different pictures to get some inspiration for color palette, as well as like the Disney Mermaid Lagoon scene, because I feel like that scene, the environment and everything is so magical. I really wanted to be able to kind of recreate that, but in my own way. So that is what I worked on doing here to come up with some good colors, and I continually referenced it with my other pieces I've done for the series to make sure that the color palettes are cohesive. Don't want to get too crazy and have too many colors, but I think one thing that made a huge difference was just having this pink sky versus having like just a blue sky. I think it makes it a little bit more unexpected and takes it to a different level of mood. So after that, it was time to start the painting. This time I worked really hard at coming up with colors that reflected what I had done on my iPad. I mixed each one and did a swatch test before putting it on the painting, which I should just always do. But anyway, yeah, I did it this time, and I used a variety of materials, watercolor, but also some acrylic kind of thinned down to be a little bit more like gouache. This corally orangey red is something I'm trying to kind of keep as a thread through all of these pieces. I think that it adds a lot of life to each of the paintings. finally, it is done. I just wanted to show you guys up close. I ended up going in on my iPad after scanning the image and going over some of the line work digitally just to kind of amp up the black, and I think it really helped a lot. It was actually my husband's recommendation, and I think it turned out really nicely. Sometimes a scanner can just wash things out, so yeah, it was a really great solution, and it's times like that when I'm really happy to have multiple ways of doing things. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you liked it, please actually like it, and subscribe for more. And if you want to support me, you can become a patron. You can join me on Patreon. My patrons are the ones who made this video and this illustration possible. So thank you guys, and have a great day.